Hey everybody, it's Christina Holloway here. And today I want to talk about money. So, this was about a conversation I had a year ago with a person who is a colleague. And we were talking about certifications. And, in any job, you are asked to do continuing education. And when we do that, there's reasons behind why we might invest in our own continuous development. But for me, I was having this conversation, and this colleague happened to ask me, none of his business really, but he asked me, why do I want these certifications? And we were just having open discussion. And I said, well, part of this is because typically your rates go up if you have certain certifications in this area. And so he actually stopped me and said, I would challenge you to not be motivated by money. Now, this was 2020. And I turned around quickly and said, being motivated by money is not something that should be considered a negative or a reason not to acquire higher credentials. There are many, many reasons why people look for raises, promotions, additional credentials, recognition in their industry. And one of those reasons can very well be about financial security. No one has the right to tell you that if you have a goal and it has to do with your financial planning, that that's not a valid reason to acquire higher knowledge. In this example, this person said, your goals should be closer to helping the others, helping people below you, or being more present or altruistic for the people around you that you're trying to help. Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's why I do that job. I mean, in general, that's why people are out there doing their work because one, they have a strength, and two, they have an ability to take that strength and turn it into um, accomplishments and higher aspirations for careers. We don't live really in an environment these days where that aspiration of financial security is unimportant. So it's nobody's business to tell you, oh, you shouldn't want better things because of money. And this is something I know that this is going to be quite a polarizing conversation. It's true, you can aspire to have great things. But if you're a young person in your 20s and 30s and you're still building a life and you're building a career, being able to be paid fairly or knowing that your worth when it comes to asking for compensation sets you up for success, one, sets you up for financial security, two, and three, most importantly, keeps you engaged and makes you feel like you are worth it. You're being paid your value. Nothing can take those three things away from you. Nobody else should be diminishing you because your requests are also related to financial compensation. We spend most of our time in our lives asking for, where's my bonus? Where's my recognition? Where do I get another title? And I'm talking about the corporate world here. And what's my salary? And this goes for men and women because I know a lot of the conversation, a lot of the clients I have are women who say, how do I get paid my fair share? But this is also for men who are just getting out of school or changing their jobs, with the industry by which they work, or taking a complete pivot in the work they're doing, asking for what you are worth and asking to be paid fairly for your contributions isn't I'm a slave to the dollar bill. It is about self-worth. And if this is an exercise that you need to do in order to understand what your value is, do that exercise. Here's some suggestions on how you can reconcile the idea of asking for compensation means I'm asking to be paid fairly. I'm asking to be recognized for my contributions. And I'm asking you to see my worth the way I see my worth. Now, this steps into negotiation because they'll want to negotiate with you, especially if you're trying to get a new job or even if you're trying to get promoted. They'll tell you, well, you fit into a certain, there's a timeline. But I want to make sure when we start talking about how do I get promoted, what am I supposed to do, how do I negotiate for more money, in 2020 especially, I had a number of people come to me and say, I switched departments or I moved into a new job. Should I ask for more money? And before they could even finish the question, I said, yeah, ask for more money. All they can do is say, no, we don't have it in our budget. Every time, every single time I worked with somebody who needed to negotiate for more money, they got it. They got it. And one other person had asked for a bonus or some additional information. They weren't able to give her all of that, but they did give her most of what she asked for. And she said, do you think I should just say yes? And I said, go back and ask for a title. What title do you want? And she said, oh, I think this would be a good title for me. I said, sure, that's inclusive. Go back and tell them, okay, you can't give me the bonus. I want the title. Why is that important? I was just speaking to someone today about this. It's important because you can be very well compensated, and a company can, out of guilt, because there's not enough positions. As you move up the chain of command, there's only so many jobs you can have as director, executive director, vice president, president, and CEO. There's only really one CEO position at a company. So the chances of you getting these jobs as you go higher up the chain are becoming tougher to get. But as you move up the chain, sometimes companies will say, I don't have the title or the position, but I can give you a bonus or I can give you a bump in salary and move you up the pay scale. Okay. The problem comes when you change jobs and go somewhere else and say, I'm working at an executive director level. They ask, what would you like for compensation? And you're saying, I want to be compensated in this line because that's what I'm making now. I'm not going to take less money than what I'm making now. And they'll come back and say, for the title you have, you're overpaid. So when we talk about negotiating for raises, for bonuses, for compensation packages, ask for a title. Keep asking so that eventually you end up in a space where you feel like you're being valued for your contributions at work. This is a difficult exercise. Go back because you're learning something new about yourself. I did this when I left the company where I was working and came back as a contractor and a preferred vendor. And I needed to give them an hourly rate, even though I charged them per project. They like to break it down by hourly rate. And so I set my rate high. Why did I do that? Mostly because I wanted to put it as high as I could and get above an area where they'd say, that's too much, but let's come in lower. Because I didn't want to give them a low number and them say, fine. So you always want to try to negotiate a number that's a little bit higher than what they're comfortable with so they can negotiate you into the space where you're comfortable. But the other assumption I always made was, I know I have peers, and I know there are men out there, and I know in my mind, the mindset was always, they're going to be asking for more money than you did, just out of pure default. I always thought that. So I always asked for more money because I constantly wanted to say my rate is comparable to those people working alongside me who don't have much more experience than I do, but they're asking for more money and they're getting it. I constantly ask every couple years, I ask for a bump in my rate. Every time I moved to new projects, I asked for a bump in my rate. I was constantly asking, can you compensate me for my value? And they were giving me huge projects. And I just kept thinking, these are huge administrative and huge operational and strategic projects that I should be well compensated for. So I constantly asked for more money. What was wrong? What was wrong with that? I had a belief that I kept undervaluing myself. So look at your payroll. Look at in the industry how others are being paid. Ask yourself, how did I get to this space? And then ask yourself, for the amount of work that I'm doing, is it comparable to what I'm getting paid? You could be watching this video and say to me, I'm getting paid really well and I'm doing excellent work and I love it. Great. You need to now know how to leverage a great space that you're in so that you stay ahead of the game, because all of this, like I've said, everything about my channel is all about how are you negotiating and making power moves so that you set yourself up for success in your career. That means making sure you're being compensated at an appropriate level and that you have the title and the years of experience so that when you get an exit package, maybe when you get a package for your layoff, and maybe when you get a retirement package, you're well situated for a benefits package that's going to take care of you. Now, that could be long-term planning, but starting as early as you possibly can, or even if you're in the middle of your career. Today my coaching had to do with a person who's smack in the middle of her career and saying, what's next for me? I've reached some of my goals and I don't think this company has much more to offer me. I don't see further positions as I move up. So now I need to ask myself, what experiences am I going to collect here so that I can move out? And when I move out, I need to negotiate a really great package for myself wherever I end up going. And I said, if you don't see any positions and they start asking you, can we just give you a bump in salary? Actually, I think she said, I just got a huge raise. They gave me a raise and an adjustment and they gave me a bonus and no new job, which just meant they were adjusting her salary and hoping that that would keep her placated for a while. So for her, I suggested, ask them about a change in your title so that it's in alignment with the money they started giving you so that you can leverage this when you get to your next job. What does this do? It positions her very strongly for catapulting into a new space. She can decide where she collects her experiences and then she can decide where she wants to go from there. Now, I know the beginning of this video had more to do with understanding why talking about money is important. And the other half is, in today's world, how you get paid and how you get compensated and how you're recognized for your contributions is directly related to how you value yourself and how you see your own self-worth. If you need to reconcile, am I getting paid enough for the work I'm doing? There are some techniques which have to do with comparing. Don't compare yourself to people next to you. That's just frustrating. But go out there in the market and do research and understand what your position bracket is, because you want to know if you're at the beginning, the middle, or the end of your bracket. If you're at the end of your bracket and you've reached the top of what you can be compensated for, then ask yourself, where am I going from here? Now, if you're at the beginning of your bracket, you have plenty of room to continue to negotiate, and that's where you get to start asking, what is it going to take for me to get up to the next level? But at the end, this is the end of any conversation, is it's not up to anybody else to say, we can't afford to pay you, and why do you keep asking for more money? There's more to work than that. It's not for them to define why you ask for more money. It's for you. You probably want to save up for a house, or you have to pay off student loan debt, or you just had a child, or you've just gotten married and you have goals in life. It is not for anybody else to determine why it's important to you to have the next level of compensation, or to even ask, can I be compensated fairly for the work I'm doing? I have run into those discussions a lot, always. And my answer is always, that's really none of your business. It's not, but you're not doing, this is not about a job interview. It is about when a person tries to use this to deflect around why you're asking for to be fairly compensated. And if they try to throw at you, this is, nothing, it's not all about money. Maybe, but today in my space, it is. And when I was going through these certifications a year ago and trying to figure out which ones fit and which ones were best suited for me, as I was talking about compensation, it was about the money. The certifications, I don't think, are the most important part of the kind of work I'm doing. They are status. But along with status came compensation, and that's what made it interesting for me. Because having those certifications doesn't make me a better coach, it just makes me a certified coach. So I still said, if you're going to make it worth my while, it appears that the rates are going to be different, and that's interesting to me. If you're going to pay more because I get some frivolous certification, I'm going to look at it a different way. And when somebody comes back to me and says, that can't be the only reason you're making these decisions, yeah, it can. Yeah, it can. My personal situation at the time was I want to make sure that I'm making enough to pay my bills. These are hard times. These are difficult days. Everything's changing. Coaching was changing. The world was changing. And in 2020, people did not know where their next paycheck was coming. Having financial vulnerability is hard. Anybody that comes to you from a cushy, soft spot and says, can't be all about money while you're struggling is tone deaf and also is deflecting, and also shut it down and let that person know, you don't get to determine what's important to me at this point in my life. You don't get to tell me that. So this was really more of a video on being inspirational, and I kind of wanted to make sure that I gave you that boost that you would need in order to feel confident in asking for your worth, or knowing your self-worth and asking for compensation that helps you feel valued. While I may not have given too many solutions, but what I wanted was to help you shift mindset. How are we going to look at these situations when someone tries to gaslight you? And how do we pivot that so that they don't take your power and they don't diminish you for wanting to ask for your worth? All right, so that's it for this video. If you like my videos, please click the like button, click the subscribe button, and then click the notification bell so you never miss a video from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.